thank you for that warm welcome. Is Mike okay? And thank you, Gunnery Sergeant Bailey, for inviting me to speak today as we honor our country's veterans. It was only after my time in the military that I came to understand the significance of November 11th as a date that we chose to honor our veterans. It's not a random date on the calendar. November 11th was chosen for a specific reason. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, originally called Armistice Day, it marks the anniversary of the actual signing of the ceasefire agreement that ended World War I. Then after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day, a recognized day to honor all veterans who have served America in war and peace while defending democracy worldwide. It's a day that we thank our veterans for their service, their sacrifice, and the sacrifices of their families as well. But those things are just the beginning, because on number 11, we also pledge to never forget the principles that they fought for: our freedom, our way of life, the American dream. Veterans have ensured your right to speak freely, to travel freely around the world, to go to school, to go online and surf the internet, to go to a concert, play sports, or just to hang out with your friends. So exactly who are these veterans? They are the men and women who have served in any branch of the service for any amount of time. I know that veterans already stood up, but I also want to recognize the sacrifice of the families. So if you have a service member in your family, if you would all stand up along with the veterans so we can thank you as well, please. Now these men and women are all ordinary people who left their families, left their homes, left their lives, not for recognition or fame or the honor we bestow on them. They answered the call to fight in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and they continue to fight today in the global war on terrorism to protect our country, to maintain our way of life and our freedom. Now, the defense of freedom is not just for those in the military. Each of us shares that duty and that responsibility. You don't have to join the military to defend our way of life. We can do our part to protect our freedom simply by maintaining it here in America. If we want to preserve our freedoms, we must put them into action. Voting in elections, speaking out against injustices, volunteering in our communities, or teaching what it means to be an American. Veterans Day isn't just for veterans, it's a day for all Americans, a day for us to remember why our veterans fought in distant places, and a day for all of us to begin, or continue, our journey of protecting our freedoms and the freedoms for future generations. My tour in Ramadi, Iraq was an eye-opening experience in terms of appreciating the special freedoms we enjoy in the United States. Many of us call Ramadi Ramadi because during the rainy season, the mud was so sticky it would form a glob of mud on the bottom of our boots that was near impossible to get off. I walked around 6 inches taller during the rainy season. And the heat in the summer was so intense, it was like breathing from an air dryer. It was a dry, hot, intense, 120 degrees. And just imagine with the sandstorms on top of that. It was horrific living conditions. My job in Ramadi was with the Provincial Reconstruction Team, working directly with the Iraqi people to try to make things better for them, helping them develop an economy, better agricultural methods, schools, education. I specifically was tasked with working with Iraqi women. Because I was a female, I was allowed to speak directly with them. My male service counterparts were not permitted to do the same. I soon realized the Iraqi women had no freedoms outside their home. They had to be driven to meetings. They were not allowed to drive. They were not allowed to go anywhere without being escorted by a male family member. Arranged marriages, many unable to go to school just because they were female. When I spoke with them, they all said they just wanted peace. They wanted clean running water. They wanted electricity 24 hours a day. At the time, they had 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. I remember my first meeting with these wonderful ladies, talking to them, hearing their stories, and then asking them for their thoughts. It was crickets. It was the most awkward conversation I ever had. And it was the worst brainstorming session I ever conducted. We were giving 10 women $1,000 to set up an independent business that they could run out of their homes. No one wanted to speak up. So I finally just asked them straight out, what do you like to do? One lady shyly raised her hand and said she liked to shop. So we set her up to ride a bus to a nearby town, Fallujah, and buy rugs there, and then bring them back to Ramadi to sell wholesale from her home. Another woman who liked to sew purchased a nice sewing machine and material to design and sew clothes and sell them from her home. I've had no contact since with these brave women, but it's my hope that we provided some measure of independence and security in their lives. And this tour gave me such an appreciation for what we have in this amazing country of ours. I have lots of veterans in my family. My grandfather, a medical officer in the Army. My father, a Navy submariner. Father-in-law, a senior chief electrician who can fix absolutely anything. My sister, a former commanding officer of a Navy ship. My husband, also a surface warfare officer, ship driver in the Navy, and my 3 children. Navy pilot, a Coast Guard cutterman, and my daughter, who is a former ship driver, now drives a desk in D.C., working Navy manpower session plans. We all have stories of our time in the service. My postie son tells lots of stories of swim calls in the Caribbean when he was CEO of one of the Coast Guard's fast response frigates. He would send me incredible sunset pictures from the bridge and talk about his port visits to many Caribbean islands as if he were on his own private cruise boat. Obviously, it was not all play, because he was down there doing drug and migrant operations, interdicting tons of explosive, pounds of drugs, and thousands of migrants that had to be returned to their country. Often in some crazy sea conditions, including the hurricane season, where you can imagine with a 100-foot boat in 20-foot seas, was pretty darn rocky. He would levitate above his bunk, so he had to strap himself down. But he loved his adventures with his 28-man crew. My helicopter pilot son has his own stories. His latest story, he sent me the video recording. I'm sorry I didn't show it up here on the screen. But it was shooting a missile from his helicopter on one of my old ships, the USS Simpson, the frigate 56. The ship had been decommissioned and was being used for target practice that's conducted each year in an exercise that was called Unitas. This year it was off the coast of Virginia. I mean, it's not unusual for one of our decommissioned ships to be sold for razor blades or to another country. It was just pretty ironical that my son was actually shooting at my old ship. The Simpson is now sunk just off the coast of Norfolk, Virginia, where she serves as a man-made reef for marine life. A good end to a good ship. But once you've lived it, once you've stood the watches, fought to stay awake, been afraid, laughed, argued, complained, sweated, ached, bled, loved, cried, all in the service of your country, like it or not, you become part of something bigger than yourself. A fraternity, a family, a group of men and women who sworn to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States. It doesn't change once your hitch is up. Once you've done your bit, you are a member for life. That's what being a veteran is. During my time in the Navy, I visited 4 continents, 14 countries, drove across the states twice. I lived and worked with hundreds of people from a wide variety of ethnic, economic, and geographic backgrounds. I learned how to get along with all of these people with whom I had nothing in common except for the shared experience of serving our country. And I formed friendships that will last a lifetime. No matter where I was stationed, whether it was Europe, Asia, or the States, I learned valuable lessons that continue to shape my life. I want to share 3 things with you today that all veterans can relate to and will hopefully have an impact on your life. Number 1, be a part of something bigger than yourself. We live in a world where too much focus is often on me. People say they want this or that, or how it will benefit them. In the military, you quickly learn it's not about you, it's about being part of a team and a higher calling. It's about giving back. So ask yourselves, are you a team player? Are you giving back to your community, your classmates? Are you a good citizen? Do you have the discipline, the values, the character to succeed during and wherever you land after high school? Number 2, challenge your fears and seize opportunities. Personally, I am not a big fan of heights or public speaking. But when I was given the opportunity to jump with one of the leapfrogs, which is the Navy's jump team, I knew I had to overcome my fear of heights and actually jump. Although I think the instructor pushed me out the plane because he knew I was too scared to jump on my own. So there I was, falling 120 miles an hour, 14,000 feet above the ground, 60 seconds of pure adrenaline rush, until the chute popped open, and all of a sudden I was floating. It was the most serene feeling I have ever felt. No noise, just hanging in that chute, swinging and swaying. We were still 5,000 feet above the ground, serenely floating to the ground. My instructor timed it perfectly. We landed softly, started running until the chute collapsed behind us. A totally amazing experience in which I challenged my fear. I stepped outside my comfort zone and seized an opportunity to do something totally different. And as far as my fear of public speaking goes, well, here I am, standing in front of you. I was just an ordinary kid in high school. There is nothing special about me. I always sat in the back of the classroom, afraid to raise my hand, because I was too afraid to appear dumb to either ask or answer a question. So when the Navy told me my duty station was going to be the Officer Candidate School at Newport, Rhode Island, where I was going to be an instructor, I told my detail, no way, I can't do that, I'm an introvert. Well, not going was not an option. So off I went, a scared junior officer who was ready to either cry or throw up my first day standing in front of that classroom. Because I was a kid, remember, who always sat in the back. But the Navy gave me the training and the confidence to stand behind that podium. And I have to thank the Navy for forcing me once again out of my comfort zone and helping me develop the confidence I needed. I learned I could overcome my fear and be okay. I have countless examples of the Navy doing just that, putting me in places and situations where I was not comfortable, but giving me the tools and the resources I needed to succeed. Have I conquered my fears? Absolutely not. However, my military service taught me to push my limits physically and mentally. There have been times in my life when I thought I could not do something, and it was through perseverance, hard work, and dedication that I overcame my fears to achieve something possible. Each of you fears something, or second-guess your ability to do something, and that's completely normal. My advice to you, do not be afraid to fail, and don't give up when things are hard. Amazing things happen when you test your limits. And now for number 3. Never stop learning. Stay in school. Education is one of the most important things you can do for yourself and your country. Whether you decide to pursue a college degree after high school, join the military, or into the workforce, education is essential. You gain knowledge and skills through higher education, military training, or trade schools, which all provide you with the tools necessary to succeed in your chosen path. You may want to go to college or university. You may decide to join the military through ROTC or Service Academy, or maybe enlist and attend boot camp. You may choose to get a head start on a career such as nursing, the trades, IT, or cybersecurity. All are great choices. The key is to work hard in school and follow your passion. Your passion, coupled with knowledge and skills gained through education, will give you a tremendous start. Regardless of where you go or what you do, never stop learning. The military gave me opportunities every time I went to a new duty station to learn new things. I'm even now, as a civilian, learning to fly. Yes, even as a senior citizen, it's never too late to learn new things. So thank you for being here today and for honoring our veterans. Veterans Day is set aside to remember every man and woman who has taken up arms to defend our country. We honor every soldier, sailor, Marine, Guardian, Coast Guardsman who gave some of the best years of their lives to the service of the United States and stood ready to give life itself on our behalf. There are 17.6 million military veterans among us, and now on November 11th, our nation salutes them. Let's remember them, and especially next week, November 11th, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month. Remember them, what they did, and let's honor them with deeds, in addition to our words. Thank veterans for their service, and thank them by taking advantage of the rights they defended. Work hard in school, do your best, be a team player. Remember to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Remember to challenge your fears, see the opportunities, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And number 3, never stop learning. These are the thanks Americans can give. Hoorah, hoo-yah, go Warriors.